In the quiet corners of the world, where human eyes rarely wander, a silent empire is rising right beneath our feet. It begins with just one tiny red fire ant, barely the size of a grain of rice. She is driven by a force stronger than instinct ambition. Her mission is to build a kingdom. Her journey will span 1,000 days of war, survival, and sacrifice. Beneath the cracked soil, on day one, the young queen fire ant takes her first steps into darkness. She is alone, hungry, and vulnerable. Every beat of her heart is a battle for her own survival. She digs tirelessly, carving out the very first chambers of what will become her underground fortress. With her own wings torn off and discarded, a final act of commitment to this new life, she lays her first eggs. These are the foundation of an empire that will soon swarm the earth. But she is not alone for long. To serve and protect their queen and the nascent colony. Only a few weeks into her reign, the colony faces its first great test. A raiding army of wild ants, black, fast, and merciless, descends upon their small nest. The ground itself seems to tremble with the ensuing chaos. The red fire ants fight back with a ferocity that belies their small numbers. They are outnumbered, but they are unyielding. Bodies begin to pile up. Mandibles clash in a desperate struggle for existence. Victory, when it finally comes, arrives at a terrible cost. When the battle ends, the survivors gather around their fallen sisters. They pause, almost in a moment of silent reflection. Then, they carry their dead back to the nest in what looks like a solemn funeral ritual. For creatures so small, their loyalty runs incredibly deep, bound not by emotion as we know it, but by the invisible chemical code of the colony. Months turn into seasons. By day 300, the Queen's empire is expanding at an astonishing rate. Deep tunnels now sprawl across meters of soil, a living maze of chambers and corridors. Deep in the dark heart of the nest, they cultivate their most precious treasure, rich fungal gardens that feed their growing larvae and strengthen the entire colony. Every piece of food is meticulously transformed into nourishment. Every single ant plays a vital role. And under the Queen's quiet command, the colony thrives, operating like a single superorganism, a machine of life in perfect harmony. But in the world beneath our feet, peace never lasts for long. On day 600, the empire has grown significantly, but so have its enemies. A neighboring colony of wild ants senses the growing power radiating from beneath the soil. Their scouts return with news of this rising threat, and soon the invasion begins. Thousands of black soldiers flood into the tunnels, devouring everything in their path. The red fire ants must defend their queen and their home with desperate courage. In the ensuing chaos, pheromones flood the air, silent cries for help, chemical commands, and the scent of fear. Tunnels collapse under the weight of the conflict. War consumes the entire nest. In the total darkness of the underground, victory depends not on the size of the warrior, but on the unity of the army. Just as the invaders close in on the Queen's chamber, a small group of fire ants executes a daring and brilliant counterattack. In a matter of minutes, the tide of the battle begins to turn. The enemy's formation breaks, and confusion spreads through their ranks like wildfire. And then, silence. The battlefield belongs once again to the red fire ants. Now, on day 1000, 3 years after that single red ant began her lonely journey, her colony spans the soil like a living fortress, millions strong. The Queen, once fragile and all alone, now rules a thriving, dominant empire. Their latest victory against the rival Monomorium ants cements their dominance in the territory. It is the story of life itself, shows us how the smallest of creatures can build great civilizations, how survival is earned through courage and cooperation, and how even beneath the dirt, empires can rise and endure. Beneath our feet, the war continues. Yet their story reminds us, greatness doesn't depend on size, but on strength of spirit. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. If you were as fascinated by this hidden world as we are, please like this video and subscribe for more stories from the unseen kingdoms all around us.